realize it's a bigger issue. They could not get certain groups to be dismissed, as if like back in the day when nobody wanted you to talk about something. Nobody wanted you to speak up. Nobody wanted you to tell your truth. It was said till we beat each other upside the head with the Bible and said, put it in whatever it is, put it in whatever your believer is, whomever your believer is. Put it in their hands and close your mouth no matter how you've been done wrong. Whether it has been physically, mentally, sexually, psychologically, any type of way that you've been done wrong. Keep it to yourself, because whether they're right there at your fingertips, the immediate family cannot handle the wrongdoing, or whether it's society as a whole that has created so much damage from hate and envy and jealousy that they cannot stand to hear your truth. And so it is said that, oh, it becomes a problem. They're a problem. They're not thinking the way I was taught to think. They're not being rational, because this is the way I was taught to think, and this is the way I believe. They are delusional. They have no mind. How do we control them? How do we murder them? How do we get rid of them? I mean, it worked with Malcolm X. He said he was bad. No one needs to listen to him. He's a hater. He says everything bad. The world listened and the family abide and said, don't listen happens with many other people as well. But then people don't realize the real issue is when someone else is trying to control you, trying to manipulate you to not be who you want to be, to not say the words or ruffle the feathers of anything that you may be thinking, or any belief that you may have that is totally against what the hateful, evil, wicked, wrongdoing narrative can be. And so when I say I will not be available to audition for your wrongdoing, to audition to make you feel comfortable about who I am, yeah, it can amaze me. And I cannot change you for trying to make me believe and force me into believing something that you believe. And then you become vulgar and angry and rageful in a serious, deep rage, to want to murder, to want to kill, to want to belittle, to want to use ad hominem language against. For example, me who want to say my truth. What was what I feel, what I believe from my thoughts, my lived experiences. You wasn't there with me on the toilet. You wasn't there when I passed through the vaginal walls, after the uterus.
You wasn't there, but you continue to want to force me into jumping into a box that you tried to create for me. You wanna continue to have rage and throw dirt and stomp my heart and soul out because I don't believe like you walk, like you talk, like you act, like you think like you, and continue to lift you up. Because you don't know how to lift yourself up without trying to tear me down. I don't know, that's it. Well, let me give an example and make it a little bit clear, as it feels so good to be able to either write my words on a paper, turn it into a novel, any type of just my wording, my thoughts, or write them down, or say them in a voice recorder to be uploaded into a song app, and have words, my thoughts, my beliefs, my experiences created into something that is true for me. And that makes me feel good to not be manipulated and controlled. For the narrative of what makes you feel good, and for whatever rhetoric that you have, it's not for your evil, wicked, dismissive, devaluing ways. This is for me. And an example of this when I talk about race relations, and I can remember back in the day when it came across. I don't know, I was just filling out applications and everything the African American, and I just scanned through the other categories, and I said, which one should I pick? And during this time, I don't remember it having other, and I didn't know what to do. For a few times I clicked African American, but it felt nasty to me, and it didn't feel right because I know I am not an African. Then one day I saw where Smokey Robinson was talking, and he said, where did that African American come from on the applications? And I was like, wow, thank you for saying that out loud. Someone that has a voice that can be heard from way more than what I have, and for somebody to say the same thing that I was feeling. Where in the world did that word, phrase, identity, African American come from on the applications that I filled out? And it made me feel so much better to hear somebody that was thinking along the same lines as I was. It's like, I'm not African, I'm American. But it doesn't mean that I hate Africans. It doesn't mean that I hate white people. It doesn't mean that I hate other ethnic groups. It doesn't mean that I hate other ethnic groups. Because I say no, I am not an African. I remember seeing my grandfather come through the porch door when my grandmother said, open the door, that's your grandfather, looking like a straight Indian. The New York side, and then her side is from Edgefield County, South Carolina. I know what's in my family. But I do know it's disgusting to hear people say pretendies when you're the one that have stolen and made a big hoopla about, some of you just to get monies, just to get land, just to get gas stations, just to get casinos, and we were left out of the program. It's okay. That's the way society is, and society, from what I know and what I believe and how I grew up, have always hated an American that was of Negro black culture. As hard as it may sound, as hard as it may seem, but to be able to speak up and know who you are because of family, it's not a thing of hate. And then for some to throw in your face, well, where's your tribe? Who's your tribe? Go take those fake DNA tests that are for just humor purposes, just to make you feel good, so we can have your mind even more messed up, knowing that stuff is not real. But one thing I do know is being raised in families, and who my families are, and what was said on the birth certificate. And I do know, you talk about there's no culture within the black community. The the American Black Negro community. The only thing I can say to that is that there are 50 states in the United States plus 50 states with Hawaii and Alaska, right? So that in itself is culture.
Now, here's a whole nother similar, but it's a whole nother flip side to it. Is that, for example, I have children, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 children, for example. Children, adult children, now I having children. And so some of them have children, which become my grandchildren. They have children with Africans. They have children with people from Hispanic that are Hispanic, and then you have to look at both sides of those. So for someone to say you're hating because you have an identity, that's control, that's manipulation, that's disgrace. To become enraged with someone that will not regurgitate those very words that you want them to for your convenience. Now the children that I have that come from my children, that has children from different backgrounds and races and cultures and things of that nature, when those grandbabies, when those and when they become grand adults, grow up, it is their choice to identify and ask questions and feel comfortable about who they are and express who they are from that comfort zone, from the way they feel, not something that I put in their head and say, you need to say this, and you need to be this, and you need to be that. No, who am I? But just a grandmother, and it wasn't my Gone Nas involved in the making. It's not my mind and thoughts that are inside of their soul. They will know who their grandmother is, but I will not force them to be who I am and who I know I am, or become in a rage because they don't identify as what I identify as. That is their choice. And if they want to be manipulated by society or by peer pressure or by grouping that is on them, that's their decision at that time when the time comes. But hopefully they have a mind of their own to make decisions on their own from their very own mind.